The rain hammered the mall's skylights like 1,000 accusations, each drop a reminder of the life I'd just fled. I slammed my car door in the employee lot, the echo swallowed by the storm, and bolted toward the back entrance, my soaked shirt clinging like a second skin of regret. Nicholas, wait, please. My fiancé's voice had cracked over the phone an hour ago, but it was too late. The photo of him with that colleague, time-stamped last Friday, had shattered everything. I burst through the service door into the dim utility hallway, gasping, my phone still clutched like a grenade. The fluorescent buzz overhead flickered, casting long shadows that danced like ghosts of promises broken. Footsteps, soft, deliberate, approached from the janitor's closet, and a figure emerged, mop in hand, his broad shoulders silhouetted against the harsh light. "Hey, buddy," he said, voice steady as oak. "You look like you just lost a war. Doors closed, worlds out there. Come in before you drown us both." I stumbled into the closet, the door clicking shut behind me with a finality that felt like mercy. The space was cramped, shelves lined with bleach and rags, the air thick with pine cleaner masking something warmer, coffee, maybe, or just him. He didn't pry, didn't hover. Instead, he draped a clean towel over my shoulders, his calloused fingers brushing my arm just long enough to steady me. "Name's Brandon," he murmured, turning to rummage in a mini fridge wedged in the corner. "Sit. Breathe." Worlds got a way of resetting after a flood like this. I collapsed onto a stool, the towel absorbing the chill, and for the first time that night, the knot in my chest loosened, not from answers, but from the simple absence of judgment in his eyes. Those eyes, deep brown, crinkled at the edges like he'd seen too many midnights but still found dawn worth chasing. He handed me a steaming mug, black coffee, no frills, and leaned against the wall, arms crossed over a faded flannel shirt that strained against his frame. "Wanna talk? Or just sit till the rain quits lying?" The words tumbled out before I could stop them. About Alex, the 5 years we'd built in our cramped Brooklyn apartment, the promotion that turned him into someone who sought validation in hotel bars. The photo, anonymous tip from a mutual friend, the way his texts had shifted from "I love you" to "running late again." Brandon listened, nodding slow, like he was filing each piece away not to fix me, but to witness. "Betrayal's a thief," he said finally, voice low. "Steals your map, leaves you in the dark. But here's the thing, dark's where you find your own light." We talked till the rain eased to a drizzle, the mall's closing announcements crackling faintly through the walls. He shared snippets of his own, a decade mopping floors in the suburban New Jersey Strip, after a stint in the Marines that ended with a dishonorable discharge for being too honest about who I am. "They called it conduct unbecoming," he chuckled bitterly. "But really, it was just me loving a guy in my unit. Lost everything, rank, buddies, the whole illusion of fitting in." His laugh faded, eyes distant. "But this, pushing a broom, is honest work. Keeps the ghosts at bay." By midnight, the mall was a tomb, escalators frozen, storefronts dark. He walked me to my car, umbrella shared between us, shoulders brushing in the narrow lot. "Nicholas," he said at the door, rain pattering on the vinyl, "trust isn't a switch. It's a door you gotta crack open, inch by inch. If you need a coffee that doesn't taste like regret, I'm here Tuesdays through Saturdays." His hand lingered on mine, warm against the cold metal key fob, and as I drove away, the rear view showed not just a janitor waving goodbye, but a man who'd handed me a key to something I thought I'd lost forever. The next Tuesday, I found myself back at Willowbrook Mall, the sprawling concrete beast off Route 46, this parking lot a sea of minivans and harried shoppers. I told myself it was for the sales, Black Friday echoes still lingering in slashed prices, but deep down, it was the pull of that closet, the promise of no pity, just presence. I wandered the corridors, past the food court's greasy symphony of fries and chatter, the arcade's electronic wails, until I reached the service doors near the East Wing restrooms. Hesitant, I knocked lightly. The door swung open, and there he was, Brandon, in his standard-issue navy pants and polo, a smudge of something unidentifiable on his cheek. "Knew you'd show," he grinned. No smugness, just quiet certainty. "Come on. Break time's sacred." Inside, the space felt less like a closet and more like a confessional booth upgraded with a hot plate and a battered radio tune to classic rock, Springsteen crooning about Born to Run hearts. He poured 2 mugs, added cream to mine without asking. How he'd remembered, I couldn't say, and we settled into an easy rhythm, words flowing like the Passaic River just miles away. Days blurred into weeks, Tuesdays becoming anchors in the storm of my unraveling life. I'd quit my graphic design gig in the city, the commute a daily reminder of Alex's ghost in every skyline pixel, and taken a freelance gig editing indie zines from my sister's spare room in Paramus. Brandon became the thread holding the frayed edges, stories of his Montana childhood, chasing fireflies under endless skies before his dad shipped him east for toughening up, the ex who'd bailed when the VHX dried up, leaving him with a tabby cat named Whiskey and a stack of unread philosophy books. Camus said life's absurd. He'd muse, wiping down a shelf. But absurdity's got room for grace if you let it. One crisp November evening, as leaves turned the lot into a carpet of fire, he invited me to his place after shift, a modest duplex off Bloomfield Avenue, the kind of working-class haven where porches sagged under Christmas lights year-round. "Nothing fancy," he warned, key turning in the lock. "But Whiskey's been asking about you." The living room smelled of fresh varnish and takeout Thai, bookshelves crammed with dog-eared paperbacks. Kerouac, Baldwin, a worn Bible with margins full of questions. Whiskey, a ginger menace with one notched ear, claimed my lap immediately, purring like a faulty engine. We cooked spaghetti from a box, sauce doctored with whatever herbs he foraged from community plots, and over wine pilfered from a mall vendor's cast-off bin. The air thickened with unspoken currents. "You know," I said, twirling noodles, "Alex always said I was too sensitive. Like emotions were a flaw to sand down." Brandon set his fork down, eyes locking mine across the scarred oak table. "Sensitive's not a flaw, Nicholas. It's a compass. Points you true when the world's spinning lies." His foot nudged mine under the table, accidental on purpose, and when I didn't pull away, he leaned in, breath warm with Merlot. The kiss was tentative at first, testing waters we'd both nearly drowned in, then deepening, hands finding collarbones, the soft give of skin under fabric. Not hunger, but hunger's kinder cousin, recognition. Winter clamped down on Jersey like a vice, snow blanketing the mall in deceptive peace. Our Tuesdays evolved, coffee in the closet yielding to stolen lunches in the loading dock, his hand brushing mine as we split a hoagie, eyes tracing the way his laugh lines deepened. He showed me his sketches, hidden in a lockbox, charcoal renderings of vast plains and solitary figures, dreams of a life beyond mop buckets. "Art school's a pipe dream now," he'd shrug, "but it keeps the soul from rusting." I shared my designs, pixels of urban grit softened by his gaze. And for the first time since the photo, I felt seen not as a victim, but as a man remaking himself. But shadows crept in with the holidays. Alex's texts resumed. Apologies laced with excuses. It was a mistake. Nikki, come home. Each ping a fresh cut. I deleted them in batches. But doubt festered. Was I running or rebuilding? Brandon sensed it, pulling me closer on a rare day off. Bundled on his sagging couch watching It's a Wonderful Life. Whiskey wedged between us. George Bailey thought he was a failure till he saw the ripples, Brandon whispered, arm around my shoulders. You're rippling too, Nick. Don't let the old current drag you under. Christmas Eve. The mall a frenzy of tinsel and tinny carols. I found him in the closet, head in hands, a crumpled letter on the floor. Eviction notice, he muttered, voice hollow. Landlords flipping the duplex for condos. Yuppies want yoga studios, not janitors. My heart seized. He'd poured his savings into that place, a fragile fortress against the world's grind. Move in with me, I blurted, the words out before fear could claw them back. At my sister's, the spare room was a limbo, but together we could scout something real. His eyes searched mine, vulnerable in the bulb's glare. You sure? I'm not exactly house-trained baggage. I kissed his knuckles, tasting salt. Baggage shared weighs less. New Year's dawned brittle. Resolutions whispered over lukewarm champagne in a motel off the turnpike. Our first night home. Suitcases unpacked in a room that smelled of bleach and possibility. But betrayal's echo isn't silenced easy. February brought Alex's ambush. Showing up at the mall, flowers in hand, eyes red-rimmed from what I guessed was more guilt than grief. I know about him, he hissed in the food court. Shoppers' oblivious whirl around us. The janitor? Really? Nicholas? After everything, the words landed like shrapnel, dredging up old insecurities. Me, the dreamer. Him, the climber. I walked away, but the seed of fracture took root. Spring teased with crocuses pushing through slush. Our new apartment a third-floor walk-up in Hackensack. Walls echoing with laughter and the clatter of shared meals. Brandon thrived in the domesticity. Mornings brewing coffee strong as his resolve. Evenings sketching while I edited under lamp glow. Love bloomed quiet. Notes in lunch bags. Don't let the pixels bite. His hand on my back during nightmares of Alex's face. Yet, the conflict simmered. Whispers from his old Marine buddies resurfaced. Reconnect attempts via Facebook. Laced with, that was then, olive branches. They're ghosts, he'd say. Deleting messages. But I saw the flinch. The way his shoulders tensed. The climax shattered on a humid June night. Thunderstorm rattling our fire escape like Judgment Day. I'd come home early from a client meet in the city. Arms full of grocery bags, dreaming of Brandon's carbonara. But the door yielded to silence broken only by murmurs from the bedroom, low, urgent. Heart pounding. Pushed in Brandon, shirtless on the edge of the bed. Phone pressed to ear. Voice cracking. Yeah, Sarge. I get it. Don't ask. Don't tell is dead. But the scars? They're not. A pause. Then, Nicholas? He's everything. But if coming back means hiding again, I can't. Relief flooded. But so did the poison of doubt. Alex's voice in my head, twisting kindness to convenience. Who were you really talking to? I demanded later, over cooling pasta, the air thick as the storm outside. His eyes widened, hurt flashing. My old CO, offering a security gig, pays double, but it's DC. And yeah, it'd mean pretending sometimes. The unspoken hung, pretending for a paycheck, like Alex had pretended fidelity for status. You think I'd trade us for that? He pressed, voice rising. After everything? Words escalated, old wounds reopening. My fear of being the rebound, his terror of being the anchor that drags. Maybe I am baggage, he shouted, chair scraping back. The guy who couldn't hack the core, mopping floors while you design futures. I grabbed his arm, desperate. No, you're the door I walk through. But trust is fragile, Brandon. One crack, and the slap of thunder drowned the rest. But the silence after was deafening. He stormed out into the rain, door slamming like that first night in the mall. Days blurred into a haze of unanswered calls. My shifts at the Zine Collective Mechanical, eyes scanning crowds for his flannel silhouette. The mall became a haunt, service doors mocking me. The closet's coffee scent a ghost. On the fourth night, desperation drove me there after hours. Key he'd slipped me months ago trembling in my hand. Inside, the space was stripped bare. Shelves empty. Mop bucket tipped like surrender. A note taped to the fridge. Couldn't stay where it hurts. Headed west, Montana maybe. You gave me light, Nick. Don't let it flicker. B. Betrayal's cruelest twist. Not his leaving, but mine in doubting him first. I drove through the night, windshield wipers slashing tears, following hunches, bus stations, dive bars off the interstate. Dawn broke over Pennsylvania coal country when my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Whiskies with the neighbor. If you're reading this, you're closer than you think. Greyhound to Pittsburgh, then hitch to Bozeman. Love's not a door, it's the road. Find me. The journey west was penance. Greyhound's vinyl seats sticky with strangers' regrets. Hitched rides with truckers spinning yarns of lost loves and second chances. Landscapes shifted. Jersey's congestion yielding to Ohio's flat infinities. Then the Rockies' jagged teeth biting the sky. Each mile chipped at my armor. Baldwin's words echoing from Brandon's shelf. Love takes off the masks we fear we cannot live without. By Bozeman, dust-caked and hollow, I rented a beater truck, querying locals at diners for a big guy with a ginger cat and a duffel. It was dusk on the third day, golden hour painting the plains in firefly hues, when I crested a hill outside town. There, a lone figure by a creek, fly rod in hand, whiskey batting at grasshoppers nearby. Brandon, silhouetted against the sunset, flannel rolled to elbows, lines of exhaustion etched deeper but eyes alive with the chase. He cast, line arcing graceful, and reeled in nothing but peace. Knew you'd come, he said, not turning, voice carrying on the wind. Felt it in the water. I approached slow, boots crunching gravel, heart a drum in my throat. I was wrong, I whispered, stopping short, the creek's murmur our witness. Doubt's the real thief. Stole me from us. He set the rod down, turning, brown eyes soft as Montana earth. And I ran, old habit, when the world's too big. Whiskey twined between our legs, purring bridge. We embraced then, not with fire but with the steady burn of embers, forged, not fleeting. Roads long, he murmured into my hair, but we walk it together? Summer wove us into the fabric of that vastness. A rented cabin on the Gallatin, days of odd jobs, me freelancing over satellite Wi-Fi, him guiding fly fishing for tourists, evenings sketching horizons while whiskey claimed the porch. Conflicts lingered, ghosts in the rearview, Alex's final email, a hollow "be happy," filed away like tax forms. Brandon's marine scars surfaced in nightmares, pulling him bolt upright, but I'd hold him then, whispering, "You're home," until dawn painted U.S. gold. The humanistic turn came quiet. In the fall's first frost, a community center in Bozeman, walls papered with flyers for art classes and veteran meetups. Brandon enrolled, charcoals in hand, his sketches evolving from solitary figures to pairs, hands linked against storms. I joined a writers' group, penning fragments of our story, not for publication, but for the mending. One night, under a canopy of stars vast as forgiveness, he proposed not with rings, but with a simple fly, tied from creek trout feathers. "Marry the mess?" he asked, kneeling in the chill grass. Every tangled line, we did, in a courthouse ceremony the next spring, witnesses a ragtag crew of locals and whiskey in a bow tie. No fanfare, just vows exchanged over coffee in tin mugs, to crack doors, to trust the road, to choose light even when it flickers. Betrayal's scar remains, a faint line across the heart, but it's woven now into a tapestry of resilience, proof that kindness isn't a janitor's mop, but the hand that offers the towel. Years on, back east for a sister's wedding, we detour to Willowbrook Mall, now half-vacant, a relic of boom times. The service closet's gone, renovated into storage, but we linger in the hallway, hands clasped. "Closed a door here once," Brandon says, squeezing my fingers. "Opened a world." I nod. Hazel meeting brown. The fluorescent buzz a lullaby. Trust, rebuilt inch by inch, isn't fragile anymore. It's the foundation, sturdy as Montana stone, carrying us forward. The cabin's first winter tested us like a forge. Snow drifts sealing us in with whiskey's indignant meows and the crackle of a wood stove fed by scavenged pallets. Brandon took to chopping logs with a borrowed axe, his swings rhythmic therapy, sweat beading on his brow despite the freeze. "Keeps the hands busy," he'd grunt, stacking cords neat as his old marine bunks. And the mind from wandering. I'd watch from the window, laptop forgotten, marveling at the man who'd once seemed confined to mop buckets now wielding wilderness like an old friend. Mornings began with frost-laced breath and his coffee ritual, grounds measured precise, pot perked on the embers, the aroma chasing away night's chill. We'd sip on the porch swing he'd repaired, bundled in quilts pieced from thrift finds, discussing dreams deferred. "Ever think about teaching?" I asked one dawn, as pink light bled over the Absaricas. He chuckled, steam curling from his mug. "Me? Instructing fly ties to greenhorns? Hell, half the tourists can't tell a nymph from a dry fly." But his eyes sparked, the seed planted. I dove deeper into writing, the isolation a muse. My zine edits morphed into personal essays, fragments of betrayal's anatomy, love's slow reconstruction, submitted to obscure lit journals. Rejections piled like drifts, but acceptances trickled. A piece on doors unlocked in the sun, another on mop bucket epiphanies earning a small grant. "You're the storyteller now," Brandon teased, reading drafts aloud with exaggerated drama, his baritone turning pain to poetry. Nights, we'd lie tangled under flannel sheets, his fingers tracing my spine, whispers weaving futures, a studio for his art, a book tour for mine, whiskey as our skeptical editor. but conflict's embers smoldered. Spring thaw unearthed letters from the past. Brandon's duffel yielding a faded photo, him, younger, arms around a blonde corporal in desert camo, smiles defiant against sandstorms. Jensen, he explained over creekside trout, filleting with practiced flicks. Lost him to an IED before the discharge. Before everything. The grief in his voice wasn't jealousy fodder, but a mirror to my Alex scars, reminding us, love's not a vacuum, but a garden over graves. We planted literal ones that may, a plot behind the cabin, seeds from a Bozeman co-op, kale, tomatoes, wildflowers for the bees. Kneeling in mud, hands soil-blackened, we talked betrayals anew. Alex's mistake was climbing over me, I admitted, pressing earth firm. Yours, he paused, trowel mid-dig. The Corps betrayed me first, kicked out a hero for loving wrong. Made me think I was the flaw. Our eyes met, dirt-streaked faces solemn. Flaws make the whole, I said, and he pulled me close, kiss tasting of loam and absolution. Summer swelled with visitors. My sister Ellie, breezing in from Paramus with urban gossip and a cooler of Jersey bagels. You two are disgustingly wholesome, she ribbed, snapping photos of us fly fishing, Brandon's patient casts contrasting my flailing line. She saw the change. My posture straighter, his laugh freer. He grounds you, she confided later, over esmores by the fire. Like roots in rocky soil, Brandon bonded with her over cards, teaching rummy with marine steaks, loser chops onions, his ease with family a balm to my lingering orphan feel from the breakup. Yet, the roads pull-tugged. A gallery in Missoula emailed, interest in his sketches, pop-up show. It's nothing, he demurred, folding the printout into his sketchpad. Tourists by schlock, mine's too raw. I push gentle, Ross what they need. Let 'em see the planes in your lines. The show, squeezed into a coffeehouse corner, drew a crowd, locals nodding at Gallatin ghosts, out-of-towners snapping pics of Mop and Man. Sales were modest, but a collector bit, 3 pieces for a residency offer in Big Sky. Pride swelled in me, but so did fear. Would success pull him from our cocoon? Fall painted the valley in riot. Aspens quaking gold, elk bugling distant symphonies. We harvested the garden, jars of salsa lining the pantry like victories. One evening, as leaves swirled, a call came, my publisher, a chapbook deal for my essays. Title it Cracked Doors, the editor suggested. Elation shared over venison stew, but doubt whispered. Could we balance ascending stars without one eclipsing the other? Winter circled again, but this time with purpose. Brandon accepted the residency, 3 months in a yurt studio, me commuting weekends with tales and takeout. It's not goodbye, he vowed, packing charcoals, just space to breathe. The separation honed us, letters inked with longing, calls crackling with inside jokes. I poured into the chapbook, dedicating it to the janitor who swept away the dark. Reviews trickled, a tender queer odyssey. One proclaimed, affirmation that our story resonated beyond our hills. Spring reunion was fevered, him at the cabin door, paint-flecked and grinning, portfolio bursting. We celebrated with a feast, his catch, my bread, and love-making slow as sunrise, bodies mapping changes, reaffirming bonds. Missed this, he breathed, post-tangle, whiskey displaced to the rug. Missed us. The residency led to more, a teaching gig at the community college. fly tying and life lessons intertwined. My book launch in Bozeman drew a haul, Ellie flying out, locals toasting the boys from the creek. But humanism's depth lies in the fractures mended, not absent. A letter arrived that summer, from Alex, forwarded from Jersey. Saw your book in a airport shop. Proud of you, truly. Found my own door, with someone who sees the climber, not the fall. No malice, just closure. I shared it with Brandon over coffee, his nod steady. Ripples, remember, yours reached him too. We built from there, a tiny house on cabin land, solar panels glinting like promises. Brandon's classes grew, students, vets, dreamers finding voice in his lines. My second book brewed, weaving his sketches into chapters. Whiskey aged to a sage, napping in sunbeams, our sentinel. One dawn, surveying our patchwork kingdom, Brandon slung an arm around me. From a mall closet to this, he marveled. Who knew kindness was the blueprint? I leaned into him, the world's vastness no longer daunting. We did, I replied. We just had to trust the build. The tiny house rose like a vow kept, timber frame hammered true under Bozeman's big sky. We sourced lumber from a mill south of town, each plank a negotiation, Brandon's bartering charm-winning discounts, my sketches of the design sealing deals. Off-grid living, he declared, installing panels with a marine's precision. No more utility bills chaining us. I handled the interiors, walls papered in recycled maps, shelves for his growing art tomes, a nook for my typewriter humming with half-formed sentences. Summer of the build was sweat and song, Springsteen blasting from a solar radio, dust caking our boots as foundation poured. Neighbors pitched in, old rancher Tom with his backhoe, queer couple Lena and Joe hauling windows from Missoula. Communities the rail grid, Lena quipped, hammering joists, her tattooed arms flexing. Brandon thrived in the camaraderie, sharing stories over potlucks, his Montana boyhood, the Corps' betrayals softened to teachable grit. I watched him, this man once invisible in mall shadows, now central, and felt the romance deepen. Not fireworks, but hearthfire steady. Fall brought occupancy, the house smelling of pine sap and fresh paint. First night, candles flickering, whiskey claiming the loft, us christening the space with a meal of garden bounty and creek trout. To doors we built ourselves, Brandon toasted, mason jar clinking mine. Later, in the king bed we'd splurged on, bodies aligned like constellations, he traced my collarbone. You're my north, Nick. Always. Sleep came easy, wind sighing approval through eaves. Winter whispered innovations. A greenhouse extension, plexiglass salvaged from a greenhouse collapse. Seating starts under grow lights. Brandon's classes expanded, now including queer vets art therapy, funded by a VA grant I'd helped pen. Drawing the unspoken, he explained to a reporter. Sketchpad open to a piece of two soldiers entwined. Heals what words can't. Pride swelled, but so did the undercurrent. Success's shadow, the fear of drifting orbits. My chapbook's success birthed invitations, readings in Billings, podcasts from Seattle. Go, Brandon urged, packing my bag with jerky and notes. Your voice needs wings, but distance bred phantom aches. A canceled flight stranding me overnight. His text's a lifeline. Miss your laugh echoing off these walls. Reunion flights home were electric. Kisses at arrivals greedy for touch. Spring unveiled the fracture's echo. a student in Brandon's class. Young vet named Riley, wiry, haunted eyes, pushed boundaries. "You're living proof," he told Brandon post-session, voice fervent, "that after the discharge, there's more." Admiration tipped to infatuation. Lingering after class, sketches gifted with 2 personal strokes. I noticed over dinner one night Brandon's unease as he recounted. "Kids projecting, sees in me what he wants for himself." Told him straight, heart spoken for. Jealousy flickered, irrational as summer lightning. Memories of Alex's colleague. Blurred lines. "You sure it's just mentorship?" Pressed. Fork stabbing salad. His fork paused, hurt shadowing his face. "Nicholas, after everything, you doubt." The air chilled. Our easy rhythm jarred. "Not you," I backpedaled. "Just scars itch." He reached across, hand covering mine. "Then let's scar together." No secrets. Resolution came communal, inviting Riley to a cabin bonfire, with Lena and Joe as buffers. Over flames, stories circled his Iraq tours, our Malta Mountain arc. "Betrayal's universal," Brandon said, poking embers, "but so's choosing again." Riley nodded, flames gilding his relief. And by night's end, the air cleared, friendship forged in honesty. Summer swelled the garden, yields bountiful, zucchini boat stuffed with quinoa, shared at farmers' markets where Brandon hawked prints. A collector from NYC bit big, a series on queer frontiers, fetching enough for house upgrades. A deck overlooking the creek, stairs he'd carve himself. For stargazing, he winked, blueprint sketched beside my latest draft. My second book coalesced, roads unpaved, interweaving our letters, his art scans, essays on trust's topography. Agent buzzed. This could go wide, memoir with muscle. Tours loomed. LA, Chicago, but Brandon grounded. "We'll map it like flies, one cast at a time." Fall's equinox brought ceremony. A handfasting under harvest moon, cords of creek vine binding wrists as Lena officiated. Vows renewed. "In abundance or lean, I choose your hand." Whiskey, bored by proceedings, chased fireflies, our laughter the truest seal. Winter's grip loosened with purpose. Brandon's program gained traction. National press, invites to DC panels on vet mental health. "Full circle," he mused, packing for a talk. "Facing the ghosts on my terms." I tagged along, book readings sinking, our hotel nights a bubble of reconnection. City lights no match for our spark. But the climax's whisper arrived via email. VA brass offering reinstatement, honorable, retroactive, with pension. "They say it's progress," Brandon read aloud. Voice neutral, snow tapping windows. "Apology for the unbecoming." Elation warred with dread. DC meant suits and scrutiny. Hiding in plain sight. "What do you want?" I asked, heart thudding. He paced, whiskey trailing. "The money's security for us. The house. Kids maybe, if adoption's in cards." Kids, whispered dreams of fostering. A family beyond 2. "But the cost. Pretending? Again? After you taught me authenticity." Conflict crested. Words sharp as axes. "It's not pretending. It's providing," he snapped. "You write pretty words about roads. But bills pave 'em too." I recoiled, old betrayal flaring. "So I'm the dreamer. You're the doer? Like Alex, climbing alone." Silence stormed heavier than drifts. He left for the deck, door clicking soft, and I curled with the cat, tears freezing on lashes. Dawn brought coffee. His note, walked the creek. Clear now, pension or not, I'm all in here. With you. Embrace followed, raw and real. No DC, he affirmed. We'll build security our way, art. Words, roots. Spring bloomed forgiveness. The program went virtual, his reach widening without chains. My book launched to acclaim, a gay American epic. Reviews sang, royalties funding scholarships for his students. We fostered first. A teen named Kai, queer runaway with a poet's fire, bunking in the loft, whiskey's wary tutor. Years layered like sediment. Kai adopted, college-bound with our cheers. Brandon's gallery show in NYC. Me beside in tailored flannel. The mall? Pilgrimage. Closet's ghost saluted. Kindness closed a door, Brandon said, hand in mine, but opened the horizon, humanism's grace. In the choosing, daily, to trust the road's curve. Kai's arrival shattered and stitched our world anew. A 16-year-old whirlwind with dyed blue hair and a backpack of battered journals. CPS said you're the safe queers, he announced, dropping his duffel in the foyer, eyes darting like a cornered fox. Brandon crouched to his level. No pity, just steady. Safe's what we make it, kid. Hungry, over pancakes, his specialty. Drowned in local maple, Kai spilled fragments. Foster hops from Philly to here. A dad who'd fixed him with belts. A mom too medicated to fight. We eased him in slow. No rules barked. Just rhythms shared. Mornings, he'd join Brandon's coffee ritual. Silent at first, then piping up on fly patterns. That's a royal wolf, right? For picky trout. Afternoons, my writing nook became his study hall. Essays traded for feedback. Your metaphors suck, he'd critique. Blunt as youth. But the heart? Solid. Whiskey. Ever the judge. Deigned approval with a tentative headbutt. And nights by the fire. Stories circled, his escapes. Our mall-born love, building bridges over chasms. Summer schooled us all. Creek dips turning to swims. Kai's strokes awkward then strong. Brandon's patient coaching an echo of his classes. Water holds you if you trust, he'd say. And Kai, treading, would nod fierce. Conflicts bubbled. Teen rebellion in slammed doors. Midnight texts to ghost friends. But we navigated, family meetings over pie. I feel statements Brandon borrowed from therapy books. My scars helped. Betrayal taught me listening's the real anchor. I'd share. And he'd soften. Walls cracking. Fall's leaves mirrored his thaw. First school dance invite. Us fumbling tux rentals in Bozeman. Brandon's tie-knotting hands steady. Guy or gal? He asked casual. And Kai's grin lit rogue. Guy. Name's Theo, skater. Total dork. Pride swelled. Our little family expanding in echoes. But doubt nipped. Was I ready for this patchwork? Alex's childless years haunted. Kids complicate. He'd sneered, and nights. I'd wake to Kai's nightmares. Holding him wordless while Brandon brewed tea. Winter wove tighter. Holidays handmade. Kai's ornaments. Clay casts of whiskey's paws. Adorning our scrub pine. A call from Philly courts. Adoption papers greenlit. Ceremony was creekside. Spring equinox. Kai's I-do's choked with vows of forever. You guys. You're home, he whispered. Cords binding us three. Whiskey officiant in absentia. With Kai came community depths. PDA battles over rainbow flags. Brandon's vets group mentoring his found son. My book tour paused for presence. Words sharpening on fatherhood's edge. Parenting the queer heart. Essays poured. Success rippled. Kai's poetry slam win. Our panel at a pride fest. Voices united. Yet climax loomed in summer's heat. A letter from Brandon's past. Jensen's sister. Enclosing a box medals. Letters. A journal from the sands. He spoke of you till the end, she wrote. Grief unearthed. Brandon vanished to the hills for days. Rod abandoned. Sketches blank. Kai and I tracked him to a ridge overlook, sitting silent as he wept. Missed him every deployment, he confessed. Journal opened to a page. Brandon's my dawn. Don't let dawn break us. Homecoming was raw. Bonfire burning the pain. Ashes to the creek. Carry it light, I murmured. Arm around him. Kai echoing. From Embers rose resolve. A memorial fund via his classes. Art for fallen loves. Fall fostered growth. Kai's college apps. Dreams of journalism. Tell stories like yours. Dad Nick. Pride choked me. Brandon's grin said it all. We road-tripped campuses, Yellowstone detours. Fly fishing breaks. Bonds road-tested. Unbreakable. Winter's gift. My third book. Family forged. Kai co-authoring a chapter. Sales funding his tuition. Brandon's exhibit toured. Lineages of loss and love. Critics hailing humanist heart. Spring bloomed full. Kai off to NYU. Dorm teary but triumphant. Us waving from the tiny house deck. Empty nest already? Brandon joked. But eyes misted. Nah, room for more. Fostering calls resumed. Our door cracked open. Years flowed. Kai's graduation. Us in front row. His speech nodding 2 dads who mapped the stars. A second foster. Mia. Fiery trans girl. 14 joined. Our house a haven of homework and heart-to-hearts. Brandon's program nationalized. Me lecturing on memoirs mercy. The mall pilgrimage recurred. Annual rite. Willowbrook's corridors a time capsule. Us hand in hand. Toasting the closet ghost. Kindness was the spark, Brandon said once. Snow dusting the lot. You fanned it to fire. Humanism's hymn. In the mending, we multiply, trust not solitary, but shared. A legacy of doors flung wide. Mia's integration was a different dance, fierce steps, pirouettes of resistance. Picked up hitchhiking from Salt Lake. Her file a litany. Dead named by biofam. Bounced through group homes. A binder hidden under floorboards. Call me Mia or nothing, she declared. Chin jutted. Duffel clutched like armor at our door. Brandon, unfazed, nodded. Mia it is. Pizza for dinner, pepperoni or Hawaiian sin. Her laugh cracked wary. But she chose both. And over slices. Defenses thawed. They said I was confused. You're not freaked. Not even a blip, I replied, passing soda. We've got our own confusion trophies. Kai, home from freshman break. Bonded instant, sharing dorm horror tales. Introducing her to his skate crew via video. Whiskey, discerning as ever, snubbed her initially, but a smuggled tuna bribe won allegiance. Summer schooled in layers. Mia's HRT consult in Billings. Us in waiting room flipping art mags. Brandon sketching her imagined future. Strong lines, unapologetic curves. That's me? She gasped. Post-appointment glow. Hell yeah, he grinned. Conflicts flared. Teen tempests over curfews. A shoplift bust in town. But we mediated with walks. Creekside confessions. I feel scared you'll send me back. Hugs answered. This is forward only. Fall framed firsts. Back to school with chosen name on roster. Us cheering her poetry club read. Ode to the mirror that lies. Raw and riveting. Brandon's influence shone. Her doodles evolving to deliberate strokes. Joining his after-school art drop-in. My essays captured it. Gender's cartography. Mapping her terrain with care. Winter wove wonders. Holidays with Kai zooming in. Mia's menorah lighting. Jewish roots reclaimed. Our solstice circle sharing gratitudes. A crisis hit New Year's. Binder too tight post-holiday binge. Breath shallow in panic. We rush DR. Brandon holding her hand. Me advocating fierce. You're safe, he repeated. Mantra through monitors. Dawn discharge brought home to soup and stories. His discharge tale. Reframed triumph. Spring surged. Mia's birthday bash. Skaters and vets mingling. Cake smeared in victory. Adoption talks tiptoed. If you want, we offered. Tears welled. Want? Your keepers. Courts agreed by summer. Our family fourfold. Papers signed Creekside. Mia's forever a vow etched. With numbers grew noise. House expansions. A bunkhouse bunk for Kai's visits. Greenhouse to co-op. Brandon's program boomed. Satellite sites in Casper. Me touring family-forged sequels. Success's shadow lengthened. A DC invite for him. Panel on queer vets in policy. No pretending this time, he assured. But nerves jangled, old brass in attendance. Climax crested en route. Flight delay. Him pacing O'Hare. Call from a producer docu-series on our From Mall to Mountain arc. Authentic heroes, they gushed. Elation spiked. But post-panel, bar whispers turned sour. A retired general cornering him. Son, that discharge? Water under. But family? Keep it vanilla for the cameras. Venom dripped. Betrayal's kin progress promised. Prejudice served. He flew home seething, slamming the duffel. They want the redemption arc. Minus the gay. I held him as fury flowed. Kai and Mia hovering concerned. Turn it down, I urged. Our story's ours. But temptation tempted. Funding for the program. Visibility for Mia's trans rights zine. Nights debated. Voices rising. It's compromise. Not capitulation, says the man who mopped for dignity. Resolution dawned harsh. A leaked recording of the general's slur hit vet forums. Backlash swift. The producer bailed. But solidarity surged, donations doubled. Allies amplified. Brandon channeled to a manifesto. No half-lights, full spectrum or none. His TEDx talk went viral. Our family cameoed. Mia's voice steady. We're the policy. Fall forgave. Series scrapped. But a indie film crew bit, true to script. Directed by a trans vet. Filming wintered us. Cabin scenes raw. Mall recreations cathartic. Premiere in Bozeman packed. Kai toasting. Dads, you scripted reality better than fiction. Spring sequel. Mia's high school grad. Valedictorian speech firing on identity's fire. College bound for women's studies. Us cheering. Fosters cycled. A brother-sister duo. Then a single mom transitioner. Our door a portal. Not portal. Years layered legacies. Kai's Journalism Award. Investigative on foster inequities. Mia's advocacy book. Forward by me. Brandon's exhibits global. Mine anthologized. The tiny house anchored. Expansions a village. Pilgrimage to Willowbrook. Now with kids in tow. This closet, Mia marveled. Magic portal. Brandon laughed. Arm around me. Kindness was the key. Humanism hums. In expansions, trust multiplies. Doors not just opened, but held for the throng. The village ethos took root literal. Bunkhouse to co-op. Solar arrays powering neighbors' lights. We hosted workshops. Brandon's art jams for foster kids. My writing circles for vet spouses. Mia leading zine making with Kai guestiming. It's a commune light, Brandon joked, surveying the sprawl from our deck. Grill smoke curling. Minus the free love. Got enough with you. Laughter laced our days. But depth demanded tending therapy check-ins. Quarterly State of the Union dates at the creek. Reaffirming, I choose you. Still. Summer's heat wave tested. Wildfires skirting the Gallatin. Ash hazing sunsets. Evac alerts blared. Us packing essentials, journals, charcoals, kids' binders in the truck. Huddled in Bozeman Rec Center. Cots creaking. Stories soothed. Kai's city escape yarns. Mia's worst group home topping ours. Cleared by dawn. Home smudged but standing. We rebuilt stronger. Firebreaks dug communal. Gratitude etched deeper. Fall's harvest festival crowned. Our booth laden, jams from the greenhouse. Prints, zines drawing crowds. A publisher scouted Mia. Your voice cuts like glass steel? Elation collective. Her launch party a barn dance. Us two-stepping proud. But shadow slipped. An ex-foster, Jamie, resurfaced. Addled by streets. Crashing sober nights. One chance, Brandon decreed. Bunk offered. Boundaries firm. Relapse hit hard, stolen cash. Shattered trust, ejecting him tearful. We can't save 'em all, I consoled. His shoulders slumped. But we try, he replied. That's the humanism. Winter warmed with wonders. Kai's engagement to Theo. Ring simple as their love. Us hosting the proposal picnic. Whiskey best cat. Wedding spring planned. Small. Creek vows. Skater officiant. Mia's internship in D.C. Trans policy irony noted. No generals this time. My fourth book. Villages of the Vulnerable. Wove it all fosters pseudonyms. Our arc appendix. Reviews wrapped. A blueprint for belonging. Climax brewed in Summerstorm. Anonymous mail to Brandon. Dossier from Concerned Vet. Dredging discharge details. Jensen's death spun as Distraction by Dalliance. Smears online followed. Program funding wobbling. They're scared of our light, he raged. Fists clenched. Kai hacked the source, bitter ex-student. Grudge-fueled, exposing via his paper. Backlash boomeranged. Supporters surged. A GoFundMe exploding. Resolution roared triumphant. Press conference. Us flanked by Mia. Kai. Fosters. Betrayal's old script, Brandon declared. Voice steel. We're writing queer futures. Applause thundered. Deals renewed. Our story syndicated Guardian to NPR. Fall framed family. Kai's wedding. Us walking him aisle ward. Theo's grin mirror to ours. Mia's policy win. Foster bill protections. Champagne toasts. Expansions eased. A communal hall. Art walls rotating. Winter's quiet gifted reflection. Anniversary eve. Snow globed. Us in the hot tub we plumbed bubbles churning memories. From rain-soaked janitor to this, Brandon marveled. Hand tracing my ring. You, Nicholas, the trust architect. Kiss deepened. Steam veiling stars. Years gilded. Grandkids via Kai, twin boys. Wild as whiskey's youth. Us doting weekends. Fly rods mini-sized. Mia's run for local office. Wind-sealing legacy. Books stacked. Exhibits toured. But home called truest. Final pilgrimage. Elders now. Willowbrook faded. But the lot lingered. Door closed here, I said. Cane tapping. His arm steadying. World opened. He smiled. Brown eyes eternal. Kindness did that. And love kept it ajar. Humanism's horizon. Endless. Shared. A road where every step trusts the next.